a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there, live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert.
Hey, Amy Poehler. How's it going?
Pretty good.
You're pregnant. What's that all about, huh?
I don't know.
Well, it's nice to see you. Say hi to your mother for me.
All right then. Okay. All right. Well, hey everybody. Hey, welcome to Movies Merica podcast. All right. Hey, y'all here? What's that all about? Okay. All right. Well, hey, before we get into my new trailer for Father Stu, say hello to your mother for me.
I figured it out.
Yeah, seventh time's a charm.
I'm being an actor.
Oh, God. You don't belong with those LA folks. They're a bunch of fascist hippies.
What brings you here?
And I figured no better place to be discovered than the supermarket. Hey, did I see you on a television series? You do movies? You don't work in the entertainment industry at all? No, man.
Did Bill know you're fussing with his truck?
I'm his son. I'm just borrowing it.
I reckon it's a few months' worth of cleanups on aisle 4 to pay off a DUI impound.
What can I get for you, miss? I got beef.
I can see that.
Hey! Hey!
Let's not waste either of our time. I'm a Catholic.
Well, ain't that what confession's for?
I can't date someone who isn't baptized.
I thought you was gonna say Hispanic. Where's the water? I'll do it now. I know I'm not what you used to. And not what you deserve either.
Life's gonna give you a gut full of reasons to be angry. You only need one to be grateful.
Oh,
I think God saw something in you worth saving, but it's up to you to decide what you've got to offer.
It's the place you told me you believed in me. And I thought it makes sense being back here to do this.
Your son is about to make a huge mistake.
Well, I'm gonna be a priest.
For Halloween.
Well, they must have stayed up a whole lot of boogie nights to come up with that screenplay for that long lifetime, that's for sure. Or that, I should say, complicated lifetime. All right, hey everybody, this is Van Ebert welcoming you to Movies Merica podcast. Yes, thanks a lot for coming on in, sitting down, laying down, lounging back, whatever you want to do here at Movies Merica podcast. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're in an 18-wheeler, hauling butt down the road, wherever you're at. Listening to this, I sincerely appreciate it. And before we get into my review of Father Stu, we got some work to do. Oh man, hey, Dr. Seuss ain't got nothing on this guy. All right. Hey, just to let you know, as many of you probably already know, this podcast is on Apple Podcasts. You can find all the episodes on there, also on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all kinds of podcast platforms, anything that your imagination can think of. Oh, yeah. And also, I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well, under Movies Merica, of course. If you want to check out any of my posts, or if you want to DM me on there, basically give me some tips, some suggestions on what you want to hear on here. I'm not infallible, right? You know what? I am not the perfect podcaster. So, hey, you know what? Hey, any tips are appreciated, including the monetary kind. Yeah. And also, hey, you know what? If you want to balloon up my ego and tell me how terrific I am, you know what? No objections from this judge, all right? No objections whatsoever. And also, these episodes are on moviesmerica.com. And also, I do sometimes do old movies. Most of the time, I do new movie reviews. This one apparently is a new movie review. This is for Father Stu. And and just to let you know, all my movie reviews are spoiler free. Okay, so unless otherwise stated, and when they do have spoilers in there, believe me, I let you know. I mean, I go probably overboard in letting you know that I have spoilers. I mean, I'm like putting up, alarm signals. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I mean, I want to make sure you know that there's spoilers in my review if it's a review with spoilers, because man, I hate it when people spoil movies for me too. Can't stand it. You know what? Twitter. All right. And also, usually I drink a beer. That's one of my calling cards of this podcast. But again, for only another, 13 days now, I think, I am on this 75 hard fitness program where you can't drink for 75 days. So I'm getting close to the finish line, man. I'll tell you, I could like a Kenyan running the Boston Marathon, I can just see that finish line. Of course, for them, it's like coming up in 30 seconds. I mean, they're that fast. But anyway, so no beer drinking here on this episode. All right. So, hey, enough of all that dilly-dally. Let's get right into the review of Father Stu. That's what we'll do. All right. And I got to say, there's a lot of words that come to mind when it comes to this movie, okay? And because I did think about this movie a lot when I left, and even not even like, I mean, also right after I saw the movie, but also it stayed with me for a while. I was thinking about it, even like 2-3 hours, after seeing the movie, and then even today I was thinking about this, and some of the words that I thought of that come to mind are this: just funny, it's sad, it's beautiful, it's tragic, it's romantic, it's gritty. This movie has a lot to it, and I mean that in a good way. I mean it in a very good way. It definitely evokes emotional reactions, and it entertains you at the same time. I mean, that's one of the things that I demand from a movie. I'm not happy with a movie just being an after-school special, right? And I'm not happy with a movie just being a social commentary. The movie also has to entertain me. Okay, there's some people that are perfectly happy, and maybe sometimes even their primary judgment on a movie is how socially relevant it is, right? I mean, does it touch on social themes? Does it got politics in it? Does it have enough representation in it? No, none of that matters to me. I don't play any of that into any movie right there. Does the movie entertain me? Okay, that's it. It may have some of that stuff in there. It may have the right amount of representation that people like, or might be a social commentary. That's great. That's fine. But at the very least, it better entertain me. And that's what Father Stu does. It entertains me. And it's also what you would consider a faith-based movie. And that's a problem that you sometimes see with faith-based movies, is that they're all message first, entertaining second, or sometimes entertaining not at all. They just shove the message right down your throat, right in your face, which sounds bad the way I'm saying it, but they have to realize that with faith-based movies, you can't always just preach to the choir, right? You gotta put out something out there that is going to draw in, the people that you're trying to convert, right? The people that you're trying to persuade to what you believe. And the number one way, the numero uno way to do it is entertain. Entertain. Like Maximus and Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Well, if the people that you're trying to, get over to your side and trying to convert aren't entertained, they ain't coming. They're not coming. It's not happening. So you got to entertain them. And anyway, so all that I'm sure I kicked that dead horse quite a bit here, but I think you get the idea. I need a movie to be entertaining. I need it to entertain me. Okay. And I think what helps with this movie being entertaining is just the charismatic and compelling performance of Mark Wahlberg. Okay, I think this is his best performance since The Departed. The Departed, he was one of the highlights of that movie. And this movie has got a little bit of that character in it where he just doesn't care what he says. He's brash. He just lays waste, to every scene he's in. I mean, he's not trying to be nice and considerate and friendly. No, he is just, I got something to say. Now you're going to hear it whether you want to hear it or not, and I'm going to say it exactly the way I want to say it. And if you've got a problem with that, too bad. He's got that brash mentality to his character here, which, at the beginning of the movie, he's cocky and he comes off like a jerk. But I think that as the movie goes along, he does soften a little bit, or he becomes a little bit more amicable with everybody. I mean, he's still got that rough edge to him because that was a characteristic of Stuart Long, the main character of this movie, also known as Father Stu, of course, hence the name of the movie. And yeah, he just begins to develop, real friendships with people. But at the beginning of the movie, yeah, he's just this cocky, brash boxer. And that's how he starts off in this. His adult life is, yeah, he's a boxer. He's pretty good. But I believe it's like at age 22, something like that, maybe a little later, he does get injured. He hears about an injury that stops him from boxing. He can't box anymore. And the beginning of this movie, when he's a boxer, to be honest, it does remind me of when Mark Wahlberg played Mickey Ward in the great movie The Fighter with him and Christian Bale. And it's got that gritty, rough boxing motif going on in this, just like in The Fighter. And so, yeah, pretty soon he finds himself without a boxing career because he thought that, hey, he was going to become a pro. He's going to get sponsored. Yeah, that didn't happen. He started getting older, and he was past his prime and couldn't get any sponsors. And then on top of that, he gets this news about an injury that pretty much just kills his boxing career instantaneously. And so, like I said, he's cocky, but without his boxing career, he finds himself with no direction in life. He just can't figure out what to do. And there's a early scene where he's at the gravesite of his brother Steve that who died. I think when they were little kids. I think the movie implies he died when they were little kids. He just went to sleep and never woke up. And obviously that's an early tragedy in his life. And he's at the gravesite of his brother, and just obviously he just doesn't know what to do, right? He's like, what do I do in my life? What do I do? I don't want a blue collar job. I don't want, the 8 to 5 grind. I don't want that. What do I want to do? And then shortly then after that, he's like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to be an actor. Hey, it's what's more surefire than being an actor? What's more of a guarantee of life success than going to Hollywood and being an actor? So understandably, when he tells his mom that plan, she's like, oh God, just what every parent wants to hear, right? Yeah, but your kid wants to go into the minefield that is a career in acting, but hey. Father Stu, or Stuart Long, as he's just referred to at this point, or Stu. He's not a father yet. He's got charisma. He's his attitude, his personality is contagious, and he's got charisma. And so, yeah, he gets out to Hollywood and he pursues being an actor. And the movie portrays what a lot of people find, what they run into when they go out to Hollywood to be an actor is, just he doesn't hit the big time. Surprisingly enough, he doesn't hit the big time right off the bat. I don't know. I know it's quite a shock when I saw it too. I couldn't believe it. And so he ends up working in the meat department at a little grocery store there to make ends meet. He's asking everybody, as you heard in the trailer, like, "Hey, are you in the movie business? Are you in the film business? So, do you work in entertainment? Just trying to establish those connections." And then he's also trying to get. He's going to auditions and trying to get whatever gigs he can as an actor. He gets he gets headshots. He does the whole rigmarole of being an aspiring actor. And yeah, and I'm not going to give away the whole movie here, but the trailer kind of just laid it out as far as the different phases in his life. But with this movie, even though the phases of the movie, the phases of his life, it doesn't take away from the movie, because it's the moments with Mark Wahlberg and him talking with people and mixing it up with people, and just their reactions to his rough around the edges, abrasive, the way he carries himself, but he carries himself with humor too. He's just, I don't care. I just, what, I'm going to say what I say, and I'm going to make some jokes, and I don't care, and I'm just totally, I'm just totally, I don't have any self-awareness. I don't care. I don't care, like, what you think of me. I don't care about, trying to be all, civilized, and I'm not trying to be diplomatic. I'm just going to say what I say. It's like he's that way, and so he just doesn't have that brain mouth filter that a lot of people have. He's not as bad as like Jack Nicholson in As Good as It Gets. I mean, Jack Nicholson's character in that movie, just like he was bad illness or something like that. He couldn't control what he said. Stu in this movie is not that way. He's just like, he just grew up in a rough neighborhood in Helena, Montana, and just was in a blue collar kind of rough upbringing. And yeah, he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have couth is a word, is a good way to put it. He doesn't have. He definitely doesn't have what you'd call tact, right? And so it's just kind of funny, like seeing people interact with that, and in particular, he meets another crucial character in this movie, is Carmen, and she's played by Teresa Ruiz, and she is just this beautiful woman that catches Stu's eye as he's working the meat market and in that grocery store, and yeah, she just captures his attention, and he starts getting into the church because he's making moves on her, and he says she point blank says, like, "Hey, I can't date anybody who's not baptized," and of course. Without thinking about it, he's got a one-track mind. He's like, "I'll get baptized. Yeah, I'll get baptized, and I'll do whatever it takes, And you heard that in the trailer. And so, yeah, he finds the church by pursuing a woman. Like, it's all for a girl. Like, which of us guys haven't been there, right? We're just, and maybe I'm sure girls do it for guys too. It's you just go out of your way and do something, not the smartest thing, just to try to impress a girl, and I believe me, I've done it. And so when I saw that part of the movie, I chuckled. Like, yeah, my mind kind of floated back to, oh yeah, all the stuff that I've done in the pursuit of winning, the heart of fair maiden. So, but it's just kind of funny, his one-track mind trying to do that and trying to win her affection. And Teresa Ruiz does a fantastic job as Carmen. She comes off as completely genuine, and she is a devout Catholic in this movie, and she's just a good woman, and so they're instant, and you can tell that she's attracted to him, but of course, she's got a not succumb to his advances right off the bat, right? She's a good God-fearing woman, right? And but but with their budding romance, and then their romance that gets fleshed out, that turns out to be like one of the most heartbreaking parts of the movie, right? Because as you heard in the trailer, he eventually decides to become a priest. Because he eventually ends up, he ends up dating Carmen, their boyfriend girlfriend, and Stu does something not so smart. He's out at the bar. He's doing shots and drinking it up and getting hammered, and probably worse than hammered. And he hops up on a motorcycle. He's driving down the road, and he gets into a motorcycle accident, and it nearly takes his life. And so he's in the hospital, and Carmen, comes to visit him, and lo and behold, his mom calls his dad, and his dad is played by none other than Mel Gibson, and Mel Gibson plays his dad Bill, and so Mel Gibson's character, his dad Bill, comes to the hospital, and that's where he first meets Carmen, his son's girlfriend, and it's clearly established that they're in a relationship now, and just to let you know here, just a side note, Mel Gibson, he's actually dating the director of this movie. They've been, I guess, dating for a number of years now. Rosalind Ross is the director of this movie, and so Mel Gibson is in this movie there, and Rosalind Ross, she point blank said, yeah, I did have Mel in my mind as I was writing this character, and she wasn't sure if he would want to play the character, and they were on a plane together, and she gave Mel the script, and she was watching him read the script while they're on the plane. She was sitting across the aisle watching him read it, and at the end of him reading the script, he was crying. So that's when she knew, like, okay, I got Mel. Mel's going to play this part. And so Mel's in this scene in the hospital when Stu's about to go into surgery to recover from this accident that came like a thread close to taking his life. Within inches of his life, it almost took his life. And so after he recovers from that, he starts wondering, like, wait, how, maybe there's a reason that God spared me. Why was it that my life was spared? And then that's when he starts thinking about it, starts praying on it, and that's when he decides to become a priest. And then he goes and he takes Carmen out to a place. It sounds like they imply it's a place that they've been to before. I didn't quite catch it. I've only seen the movie once. I think it's like at the grocery store that they first met or something. And he's like, hey, I brought you here to tell you the news or tell you something. And that's when he tells her that he's decided to become a priest. And I'm sure since she's his girlfriend, I'm sure she was like, what? And the timing couldn't have been worse, I mean, I'm sure a part of her was thinking of that, there might have been a little part of her, the Catholic part, that was like, oh, hey, going to be a priest, like, how admirable. But I'm sure most of her was like screaming, like, hey, I'm your girlfriend, all right? I wanted to marry you, and here you are. You're, telling me now that you're going to be a priest, and obviously when you're a priest, you do it for the rest of your life, right? If all goes well. And so that's kind of the heartbreaking, that is a heartbreaking part of the movie. And Carmen, or Teresa Ruiz as Carmen just knocks it out of the park as far as showing that she's a character that really does care for the character of Stu. So yeah, that's tough. It's very tough. Like I already mentioned, Mel Gibson, plays his father Bill, and he's another fantastic character, a very relevant character in this movie, because there's a conflict between Stu and his father Bill, because Bill left Stu and his mother when Stu was a kid. And so obviously because of that, Stu and Bill. Stu definitely does not like his father. He doesn't call him dad, doesn't call him father. He just calls him Bill, and understandably, right? Like your father just bails on you, and so the to say that they have a lot of little animosity in the relationship would be a vast understatement. Okay, but the conflict between them, it's very biting, but it's also very funny because they do not take it easy on each other with the insults. They're trading barbs. They just give each other crap, and you can understand why. But yeah, they just don't hold anything back, and it's funny, and it's also like whoa, and it's also kind of uncomfortable. But until you start thinking about like, well, yeah, I can see why Stu is this way with his dad, and I could see like why there's just so much vitriol between Stu and his dad. So, but it is amusing, and there's just a great relationship arc, between them two that makes this movie again entertaining. That's another way that this movie does its job in satisfying what I demand in a movie. It entertains you, and the performances, they draw you in to the characters. They make you care what happens to these characters, particularly Stu. All right, and again, Mark Wahlberg just does he's an all-encompassing, totally dedicated, he totally gives himself to this role. And I hate to say it, but because it's a faith-based movie, and I just think that, and with the Academy Awards and the way that they act with faith-based movies, and I don't think he's even going to get nominated for best actor, but there is way more than just one singular scene where I was watching this and I was like, that's an Oscar moment. That's an Oscar moment. No, that's another Oscar moment. I mean, it's just, but right after I thought that, I was like, it's a shame. It's a shame the way that the Academy works, and not that you need Mark Wahlberg to win a Best Actor Oscar for this movie to enjoy this movie. By far, you do not. Far be it that, for that to be the case, right? You do not. But it'd be nice to see, him get some accolades for this, but that just be a luxury. This movie is fantastic, and his performance is fantastic nonetheless. And I also thought it's kind of fortuitous that Mel Gibson's in this movie because, as we know, Mel Gibson does have plenty of experience with releasing a faith-based movie around this time of the year as well, because 18 years ago, Mel Gibson came out with none other than The Passion of the Christ around this time of year. Of course, this movie was released on Ash Wednesday of 2004, not on Good Friday, but so he's got that experience, and I'm sure that Mark Wahlberg probably called on Mel for some tips, like about releasing and maybe marketing and that kind of thing. And again, just like Mel, Mark Wahlberg financed this movie himself along with the help of some friends. He did not get any studio support whatsoever because, well, that's what happens when your movie doesn't have any MCU or DC EU superheroes or Harry Potter or Star Wars. It's hard to get financing. That makes it harder to get financing, even when you've got a big name like Mark Wahlberg and behind this. But you know what? Hey, the movie turns out just fine. Without it. I mean, it's I don't even miss like a big budget in this movie, and this movie doesn't need that. This movie really gets the point across. And it. And I think that this is a admirable directing debut too. Like I mentioned, the director is Rosalind Ross, and you could tell that this is her first movie. She makes some, I guess, what you'd call quote unquote rookie mistakes. In the pacing and that kind of thing. The pacing could be better. She could learn a little bit of lessons as far as pacing goes from the director of The Fighter, the movie I mentioned before, David O. Russell. He does a great job at editing or hiring good editors. And so that's the only critique, or that's one of the critiques I would have for this movie, is make the editing a little bit tighter, and so that the movie, functions, a little bit. It moves, together a little bit better. And because it gets a little slow in places, but yeah, the ending of this movie is just like, it's very emotional, but yet very inspiring at the same time here. But yeah, go out and check out this movie. It's not doing so well at the box office right now because I don't think I probably didn't get as much marketing as a lot of movies, but the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is phenomenal. So go check it out. And so everybody, hey, as always, thanks a lot for listening to this episode of Movies Merica. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Please give it a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, everybody, get out there. These movies aren't going to watch themselves. All right, see ya.
Hey, guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the popo. They're coming after me. And I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here, too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'll be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right. Thanks for watching.